There is a mountain in Russia with a name that translates to the Mountain of the Dead. It earned its name. In February 1959, a rescue team found this tent. It was slashed from the inside out. 9 experienced hikers had slashed their way out of their own tent in the dead of night, fleeing into sub-zero temperatures without their shoes. What terrifying force drove them to their deaths? This is the Dyatlov Pass Incident. It is a mystery that has baffled investigators, scientists, and conspiracy theorists for over 6 decades. The autopsy results were impossible. Massive internal trauma, missing tongues, and highly radioactive clothing.
Dozens of theories have been proposed: natural disasters, military cover-ups, and the paranormal. But to understand how they died, we must first look at how they lived. Who were these 9 people?
Just weeks earlier, the group set off with high spirits. They were students and graduates of the Ural Polytechnical Institute. They were young, athletic, and possessed the highest certification for winter trekking. They were ready for anything. The group was led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, a brilliant engineering student, highly respected by his peers. They meticulously planned their route. The goal was Mount Otorten, a difficult Category 3 expedition. Originally 10 members, Yuri Yudin fell ill with joint pain and had to turn back early. It saved his life. They departed the last inhabited settlement of Vizhai on January 27th, stepping off the edge of the map. For the first few days, they navigated dense forests and frozen rivers. The journey was grueling, but morale was high. Their diaries reflect joy and camaraderie. They sang songs, took photographs, and mocked the freezing temperatures. The cameras they carried would eventually provide the last visual record of their lives. A haunting final reel. But on January 31st, the weather began to turn. A massive front of cold air descended from the Arctic. In the blinding whiteout, they deviated from their planned route, drifting west toward the slopes of Kholat Syakhl. Realizing their mistake, Dyatlov made a fatal decision. Instead of retreating to the forest, they camped on the exposed slope. At 5 p.m., they had their last meal. They took off their wet boots and settled in for the night as the storm raged outside. The last photograph taken on their camera is heavily debated. A blurry, glowing anomaly. Was it a mistake or something they saw? Temperatures plummeted to -30 degrees. Inside, they were relatively safe. Until something changed everything.
In the middle of the night, sheer panic gripped the tent. They didn't even have time to untie the entrance.
Someone grabbed a knife and slashed the tent open from the inside. They scrambled out into the deadly blizzard. They ran down the slope toward the tree line. 9 people, mostly barefoot or in socks, abandoning their only shelter. They reached a large cedar tree at the edge of the forest, nearly a mile away from the tent. Here, they tried to survive.
They managed to start a small fire. But in the howling wind and extreme cold, it was not enough.
2 of them climbed the tree, breaking branches up to 15 feet high. Were they looking for the tent or hiding from something below? As hypothermia set in, the group fractured. Some tried to crawl back to the tent. Others went deeper into the ravine. Dyatlov was supposed to send a telegram upon returning on February 12th. The date passed with nothing but silence. On February 20th, a massive rescue operation consisting of volunteers, military, and helicopters was finally mobilized.
On February 26th, they found the tent. It was half buried and abandoned. Inside, all the boots and warm clothes were left neatly piled.
The first 2 bodies were found near the remnants of a fire under the cedar tree. They were wearing only their underwear.
3 more bodies, including Dyatlov's, were found spaced out on the slope, frozen in poses suggesting they were trying to crawl back to the tent.
It took 2 more months to find the remaining 4 hikers. They were buried under 13 feet of snow in a ravine. The hikers in the ravine were better dressed. They had stripped the clothes off their dead friends to stay warm. But the autopsies revealed something horrifying. 2 had crushed chests. 1 had a fractured skull. Injuries likened to a severe car crash. Even more disturbing, one of the female hikers was missing her tongue, eyes, and part of her facial tissue. And the final impossible detail, several pieces of their clothing contained high levels of beta radiation. Why? Faced with impossible evidence, investigators and the public proposed numerous theories to explain the tragedy. The most common theory is a slab avalanche. It would explain the crushed chests and the sudden panic to cut out of the tent. But experts disagree. The slope's incline was too shallow. Furthermore, the tent was largely undamaged by snow, and no avalanche debris was found. Another natural theory is a katabatic wind, a rare, deafening wind, hurricane-force wind, that drops rapidly down mountain slopes, inducing panic. Some scientists suggest the wind created infrasound, low-frequency sound waves known to cause severe panic attacks and feelings of dread in humans. But what about the radiation? Many believe the hikers stumbled into a top-secret Soviet military testing ground. One theory involves parachute mines being tested in the air. The concussive shockwave would explain the massive internal injuries without external wounds. Did a KGB cleanup crew arrive, realize civilians were killed, and stage the confusing crime scene to throw off the investigation? The funerals were heavily monitored by police. The families were ordered to remain quiet, and several victims were buried in zinc-lined coffins. As for the missing tongue and eyes, officials claim it was scavenging animals, as the body was face down in a running stream for months. Initially, investigators suspected the indigenous Mansi people. They were suspected of attacking the hikers for trespassing on sacred land, but this was quickly dismissed. Other hikers 30 miles away reported seeing glowing orange spheres in the sky that night. Were they alien crafts or classified rockets?
A more terrifying local legend speaks of the Menk, a Russian Yeti. Could the hikers have been attacked by something monstrous in the dark?
None of the theories fit all the facts. An avalanche doesn't explain the radiation. A military weapon doesn't explain the missing tongue. The lead investigator later claimed he was forced by high-ranking officials to close the case and conclude that an unknown force was responsible. In 2019, Russia reopened the case. Using advanced 3D modeling, they officially concluded it was indeed an unusual block avalanche. But for the families and researchers, this explanation falls short. Too many bizarre details remain completely unexplained. And so, the Dyatlov Pass Incident remains one of the greatest, most chilling, unsolved mysteries of the 20th century.
60 years later, the mountain keeps its secrets. Whatever happened that night in the snow remains buried.
What do you think really happened? Was it nature, the government, or something else? Leave your theory in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to Beyond the Unknown and stay out of the dark.